What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Rivian. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and where I see things going. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with macro data, Monday, the market's going to be really looking at to see if that positive momentum that was starting to build on Friday does get in fact rolled over into this upcoming week. Tuesday, we have GDP. Current forecast is 3.2, previous being 3.8. That's going to be a big market mover. And then on Wednesday, we do have initial jobless claims. Market closes early on Wednesday because of Christmas, so Merry Christmas to all. So the 25th, the market's closed, and then 26th, it resumes. But historically, we always see kind of low volume on the 26th, and then as well with the 24th. So it is going to be more of a quiet period, so don't anticipate any new interviews, fireside chats, or anything, although Rivian is on a lot of people's radar. So even over the last 5 days, it is up 20.21%. So definitely showing some signs that it is alive. Based on the Elliott wave technicals, it is indicating that, at least in the short term, possibly not this week because of, again, shorter week and lower volume, it does indicate that between 26.0 or 26.29 and 28.11 is going to be potentially the next target for Rivian. So definitely a lot of good momentum still to be had behind the scenes. There really hasn't been that much associated to Rivian lately. So one big thing that's been really moving it has been just analyst ratings. And a lot of analysts love what they have been seeing. So a lot of $25 ratings, and currently that is the kind of the highest ones. So Wedbush, Daniel Ives, who has a 55% success rating, very innovative analyst who loves to cover kind of a lot of outside the box types of stocks. So the fact that Daniel Ives is on Rivian, the market loves that, definitely. So that's something positive. Aside from that, as a consensus, 1622 is that average over the last 3 months, and that does represent a 27.75% downside from the current prices. So still, when it comes down to analysts, maybe just how things and the EV market has been, this is why they still have lower price targets of like 14 and 12, but still, I think Rivian is turning a lot of heads. And so for those of you that are new to the channel, I like to go over what big money is doing and where volume does primarily come from. So for instance, popping right over here on the secondary market, there was some crazy large transactions. So there was one done after hours, 121.4 million, and it was a buy. Anything with a ask is a buy. So $121.4 million transaction. So of course, that kind of narrows it down on who that could potentially have been, but nonetheless, 8.01, 6.8, 6.6, 5.9. So a lot of big money was getting in, even on the dark pool. So dark pool is primarily used by shorts as well as hedge funds, but still, this 25.3 million that was done shortly after the bell, that was a buy, because dark pool is a little bit more difficult to distinguish what is buys and sells because it's supposed to be anonymous. So you kind of have to correlate the timing with what happened with the actual price. But 25.3 million. So a lot of big money is getting in. 17.9, 8.7, 8.7, 8.3. So definitely good to see. On the short side of it though, they're still holding on for dear life. 18.34% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 147.82 million shares overall are being shorted. So just over the last, let's say over the last 1 month, actually what I'll do is I'll make this 1 month. So over the last 1 month, shorts have lost about 42% of their position, or at least it's gone up. So it went from about 2.14 billion to 3.03. So they've lost a good about just shy of $1 billion. So crazy stuff. So yeah, let me know your viewpoint. I know a lot of individuals that love to kind of want and pray for squeezes. Rivian definitely could be a contender. As well, one thing I do want to bring up though is that there's actually some sketchiness happening behind the scenes with Rivian, because shares on loan being 145.48 million, number of shares being shorted 147. This should never happen. You should never have more shares being shorted than on loan. So definitely there's some naked shorting type of scenario playing out with Rivian. And so yeah, that might potentially escalate the price even higher than these levels, depending on kind of how things do play out and if the momentum does in fact roll over into this upcoming week. Looking at the options, we do have a consensus for it to be roughly around that 23 to even a high of $25. So that's what the bulls are feeling. Bears are anticipating more of a breakdown to about that $19.50 to $20 range. So definitely a lot more upside still is anticipated. This is the open interest, so most likely some of those transactions I did bring up were market makers, because there is a lot of kind of in the money options that did expire. So for instance, we have 35,000 at the 15, 32,000 at the 16, 28,000 at the 17.50. I'm obviously neglecting these ones because it's smaller amounts, but 25,000 at the 19, 37,000 at the 20, and then with it closing at exactly 22.45. That does mean that the 22 and below strike prices are considered in the money. So that means you have also 20,000 at the 22. So kind of crazy stuff. You are seeing a little bit of a gamma squeeze. So potentially going into next week, that could really kickstart a nice push higher. So yeah, next week, things could get very real very fast for Rivian. And I don't always like to wear the tinfoil hat and shout mother of all short squeeze, but clearly there is some sketchiness happening behind the scenes, and if you have a gamma squeeze occurring at the same time, you could see a very nice push higher. Aside from all of that fun stuff on the actual chart itself, out of pretty much all the stocks that I generally cover on all of my YouTube channels, Rivian's technicals look by far the best. So right now, stochastic RSI is at about 68. So if it does get to, let's say, that 24 plus range, then this is where it will be considered overbought. Nothing really wrong with that. Well, a lot of stocks kind of generally can stay in overbought status for a while, but right now it is above that 10-day moving average, signaling that there's a lot of good momentum that is building. From the market position, you don't really see that much willing sellers. So this is how things get very real very fast. Algorithmic trading at the same time is also a big deal for Rivian, but with a lot of these bullish ratings that are coming out, a lot of good articles coming out, things are really kind of moving higher. So let me know your general thoughts on Rivian. Are you buying? Are you selling? Like, what's your kind of general thoughts on Rivian? Some things that also did come out though, latest forms. So there was a couple that came out recently. So there was a 144 and 8K that came out after hours also on Friday. I don't really see this being a big deal. It just shows that a director a director rose, kind of stepping down as of January 1st. So nothing really crazy if you ask me. There was also a 144 which did signal that Peter, a director, selling about 3,600 shares, so nothing too crazy for that. And then you did have RJ selling about 17,000 shares, and this was pre-planned based on 10B5-1. Very interesting timing though, mind you, because that was done on the 9th, 2 days prior to their kind of big day, big investor day. So nonetheless though, let me know your thoughts on Rivian. I do feel that this upcoming week you should be seeing a very nice push higher. One thing as well, just to briefly bring up, with it at 22.45, it is right below this R2 to this R1, so it's kind of trading within that range. So for those of you that want a dollar cost average swing trade, 20.79 is going to be a strong support. 24.02 followed by 29.24 is going to be the next strong kind of target. So just watch for those, but yeah, things are looking pretty hot for Rivian right now. One final thing, if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, pop over to my Stacked account. Just made this a couple of weeks back. Currently have 100 members under the all buy alerts, and I did actually put out a promotion. So normally that is about $55, lowered it down to 20. So if you are wanting to get in, you will never be increased. It will stick at 20. So I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.